Hello, my name is Kim, and I am the Children and Young Adult Consultant with the Connecticut State Library. And we are here today with Heather from Pomfret Library, who is going to tell us about the unique ways that she was able to adapt and sort of expand upon the Girls Who Code program, which the Connecticut State Library is an affiliate of, blah, blah, blah. More on that probably in the listservs. But today we really want to hear about Heather's unique take on that and how it worked for, her library patrons and her community. And I once ran Girls Who Code. It was fine, but it seems like you're a little bit of you took it a step above what I did with it. So Heather, take it over. I'm all ears 100%.
Awesome. All right. So we've actually had a coding program here for, I want to say, about 4 years now. And we've always done CS first, Scratch with MIT. We've always done that. And I had a very good, loyal group of boys who did all of the sessions. We always had a few new faces here and there, but it was generally all boys. And it was getting to the point where we didn't have any more new programs with that. So I was trying to find something very different, and I stumbled upon Girls Who Code. I had never heard of it before, and then I was looking through it and I was like, oh, this sounds pretty awesome. This is something totally different. And of course it was last January, I want to say, when I found this, and we were trying to find more virtual programming for the library because a lot of people still weren't comfortable doing anything. I did a spring semester with Girls Who Code. I did an 8-week program where I had 8 spots available, and I had one older sibling who was very good with coding. I had her be my assistant, and she actually attended and assisted me with every meeting as well. So that was pretty cool. So I ran this program in more of a hybrid kind of way, where I did offer for the girls who wanted to come in person, who were comfortable, to meet on our back porch, where we actually have a very large canvas tent, and we were spread out back there. And then we also had about half the girls on Google Meet or Zoom meetings, and we had them that way, and we all kind of came together. That is the reason why I ended up doing some different things with the program, because as Kim probably knows, a lot of the session, like the lesson plans they have, offer in-person unplugged activities where the girls will do something like write a coded message and swap it around and have them try to figure out the code, just to get their brains working outside of the digital screen box. And I wasn't able to do that with half of my girls being at home on their computers. And it was kind of like, how do I tie that in? So I reached out to one of the representatives there, and I just asked her for, like, can I do this? Can I add this in there? And I ended up coming up with 4 or 5 extra programs to mix in there. So every session we would jump in, we would all get together, we would have our little icebreaker game where I was like, I hate icebreakers, but I looked through these and I looked online for like other clubs just to get ideas of different icebreakers, because nobody wants to go around the room and say, my name is Ashley and I like apples, because of the, but so I ended up putting some more of the sisterhood activities in here. The first one that I did do was the coded messages with, flipping around the alphabet. That was a great way for them to kind of get used to something besides just coding on Scratch. And the next thing I did was I showed them the Cricut cutting machine, and I showed them the Cricut Design Center, and I showed them, I was like, this is a lot like visual coding. You have all these layers, you have different options, you have text, you have so much freedom with that. And I had them design a sticker. I was like, you can make as many stickers as will fit on an 8.5 by 11 sheet. I got them signed in, and I let them figure it out for themselves. They realized that it's very similar to coding in the sense of, if you have one thing wrong, it doesn't work. with coding. If you have one brick out of place in Scratch, it will not work. So they ended up having a blast with it. It was our first time that we had actually, I think we had 7 out of the 8 girls and my assistant all in person on the back deck because it was a beautiful Saturday. And they loved it. They did great. I ended up showing that to the representative at Girls Who Code. Her name was Cece, I believe. And she absolutely loved the idea. And she's like, oh, I'm going to pass this up because this is something that we could potentially incorporate. And after that, maybe like the next month or so, Pomfret Public Library's Girls Who Code was the featured club of the month for the Girls Who Code newsletter for May. And that was really cool because we didn't know that was happening. And I got the newsletter and they were like, hey, take a special look at it this month. And it's like, the girls were pumped because their pictures of their stickers were in there. They absolutely loved it. And then one of the other fun activities that I threw in there was there was a lot of things that just brought it back all to the coding, which was great. But I wanted to really build on that sisterhood part as well, because I had girls who were from different school systems. I had girls from homeschooling, and a lot of them were just getting to know each other. And they were also like girls from different social circles as well. So even if they went to the same school, they don't normally run into these people. I was working with the 3rd to 5th grade group, by the way. So I had a nice tight age. So in order to build on that sisterhood part, I actually took the girls on a hike on the airline trail, and a portion of it goes right past the library. It's quite a long trail. It's a really nice one. It's easy, it's flat, it's generally a good hike. And we went on a little hour-long hike with the girls, and most of them were able to make it. And it was really cute because I ended up just walking with some of the other moms, and you see all the girls behind us all talking about all sorts of things. You got girls who didn't know each other, who were like linked arms and skipping down the path. It was adorable. I loved it. It was great. And that was probably my favorite of the activities that we did. So that was another way to kind of get them engaged in conversation, because I often found that that was the hardest part of the club meetings, was getting the girls to speak up, because in school even they generally just don't want to, especially in a smaller group setting. So I would ask questions and no one would answer, and I'd be like, okay, cool, let's move on. So this was a great way. After that hike, I did notice a bigger jump in the girls raising their hand on the virtual, or the girls in person calling out answers, which I encourage because I want discussion. I also had made them, another way for the sisterhood thing is I also had made them all their own Girls Who Code t-shirt. I got permission from the organization to make my own shirts using their logos, which obviously were free for them. And I, on my own Cricut at home, I went and made them all little Girls Who Code t-shirts. They were awesome. I got their sizes, their color preferences. It was really nice. They loved them. Some of the girls wore them to the meetings. And then the finale of the extra programs that I threw into there, which I did not tell them what it was going to be. I did let the parents know because I need parental permission, but I did not tell the girls that at the very end, we were going to have an ice cream party at one of our local businesses here in town. So that was really cute. And it has, it's called We Like It. And they have a little farm with some animals that they tend to, and they have delicious ice cream they make themselves. And I also brought a miniature piñata, and I filled it with all sorts of things. I put food in there, I put candy, I put money, I put some like bracelets and stuff like that, just all sorts of random things that they would enjoy. And I can't remember exactly how I did it, but in order for them to have their turn with kicking the piñata, they had to solve some sort of coding issue. But I just threw it in there a little bit. So they had to fix a code to get their turn. And that's how I tried to make it fair too, of course. But they loved it. It was great. I remember I had parents every week telling me how much their daughter loved it, how much they were so happy to see her progressing through it. I had girls that were making things on their own time, sending it to me, emailing Miss Heather to be like, look, I made this really funny game on Scratch. And there were some really funny things in there. There was something like I had to play a game where they had a cat and you had to get a loaf of bread on their face. And that was how did you make this? It was crazy. But that inspired my last activity that I added in there, which was I wanted a custom logo for the Pomfret Girls Who Code chapter for Scratch, because on Scratch you can make an album with your group's projects, and Girls Who Code does go through and look through those projects occasionally. They will look for them and they will read through and see what you guys are working on. And I had a little logo contest of a GIF logo that I asked for them, and they all submitted one, even the girls who were kind of like really new and not sure, and like this was their first time Scratch ever. And they all submitted one. They all came out so cute. I actually did have a hard time. I had to enlist the other staff members to pick out a winner, and it was very good. I also noticed that those girls started coming to the library more for other reasons this past year. So I saw them coming in and reading. One of the little girls, Ruby, she's always kind of been a regular. Like, we know her family pretty well. They come in occasionally, and she was coming in. She wanted books about African-American girls who were scientists or inventors. That was the big thing she wanted after this. And I know, I loved it. It was so cute. And we put together a whole stack of books for her. And her parents were just like, this is great. We love it. She's so interested in it now. It's really broadened her topics of reading as well. So I loved that it kind of tied into that. It's something that a lot of the parents have been asking me about for the upcoming spring, because I am going to be running it again. I have my formal announcement going out tomorrow, actually, February 2nd. So we will, this will be a nice little add-on for promoting it as well, because the local school is really good with us. The local newspapers all share our stuff online. So we, and because this is a free program through Girls Who Code, that frees up money for us from our friends group to be able to provide the extra activities that, like I did this year, like the ice cream party at the end. So it's a really exciting program. I'm really excited for this next semester because now I've got a hang of it and I've got ideas, and really excited to go forward with it.
I am excited for your next program. If I just showed up with my laptop and sat in the back, can I like that? I am so impressed. I am so impressed because I know a lot of the things you were talking about. I was like, oh my God, I totally get it. So when you mentioned the, and I remember one of the hardest parts about Girls Who Code for me was exactly what you mentioned, that sort of building of sisterhood amongst the kids. And similar to you, and I love that you had kids from different schools and even from different socioeconomic backgrounds. They're that's like a whole other deep conversation.
Yeah.
But because the kids didn't always know each other, that you're exactly right. That can be hard. And with a small group, you kind of want them shouting out and you want them talking to each other. You want them engaging and learning with and from each other. And that building that community piece is the part that doesn't necessarily happen on its own. So I love that you went like hiking and like that was the thing that we were all doing. And what was it, 2021?
Yeah.
Was it 2021? That was the thing. Yeah. We were like, okay, we know that we can breathe air. We know that we can breathe air. Let's go outside maybe and do something. And you tied that into your program. And where were you when I was doing this? Probably the Pomfret. Oh, goodness gracious. So you did the 3 to 5 age group. Is that right?
Yeah. The
So
3 to 5th grade. Yes.
Not 3 to 5, third to fifth grade, because once upon a time, Girls Who Code was just grades 6 to 12, and then they sort of like slid down so that they could kind of get kids who are at the younger age group. So how did you do this just by yourself? Like, were there other people in the library that were helping you? We get lots of questions, and we see this in the listers all the time, people who are at small libraries or who have small staffs, and they're wondering how many people or what capacity it takes to pull something like this off. So what was that like? Was it just you? Did you have helpers? How'd that work?
So we have a very small staff here. There's only, and I'm the only one that I know of that has coding experience. And obviously the great thing with Girls Who Code is you do not need any experience to start these clubs.
I didn't have any.
You just as much. Yeah, I had a little bit. It teaches you so much. And I did run this mostly by myself. I did have that assistant who was I believe she just started high school this year. So she was in 8th grade that year. I did have her assistants during the meetings to kind of like, if I was helping somebody with one project, to be like, all right, Amelia, can you please go help with this person with this issue? And that was really great for during the meetings. When I was planning everything, my director here, Lori, is an excellent sounding board. So I would go to her with my ideas and just be like, what do you think if I do this? What do you think if I take a hike? Can I do that? I have a very good handle on working with groups of children. It's something I've done for a decade now. I know that I can handle 10 to 15 in that age range by myself. I dropped it down to 8 for COVID reasons, as well as this was my first time. I want to be able to get it right. So I dropped it down to 8. I was able to handle that totally fine by myself with the assistant. If I did not have the assistant, I could have still managed. There would have just been a little bit more of me moving around person to person and a little bit more waiting maybe, but that's not a big deal when it's a small group like that. They're pretty easy to keep their focus.
Well, I also like, and I know this wasn't still sort of a part of talking about it, but I like that you had a student assistant.
Yes.
I remember doing story times at a library I worked at that had a middle school across the street, and a middle schooler would come, and every Friday she would be the assistant to help with the story time for 4 and 5-year-olds. And what I like about that is not only are you teaching these 3rd to 5th graders about coding digitally, but also ways to code, not being in front of a screen, like you mentioned multiple times, also very important. But for that assistant, you are teaching leadership skills. If she was already interested in coding, that is connected learning. I mean, like, you were not only just working with these little guys, like you were doing something for this older assistant as well. And I mean, goodness, we all know, there is always some kid in some town who needs volunteer hours for whatever it might be. So that's awesome that you were able. And how many, it cut out for a second, how many employees did you say you are librarians work at your library?
We only have 4 of us.
Wow. So so if you could do this with 4, it's probably pretty. So now another thing you mentioned, so the kids had laptops. Were those laptops that they brought in themselves, or did your library supply some of those? How'd you handle that?
So when we originally started our coding program a few years ago, we had our tech person, not necessarily a library employee, but our outside tech service, had them help us pick out some computers, some just simple basic laptops. So we have 8 laptops. Another reason why I chose 8 for my number, just in case. And I made it an option. I said, it's always best if you have your own laptop to bring, because it's your own thing. It has all your personal stuff. So like if your child has a hard time logging in or something, it's a little easier on their own computer. It's like, but I have plenty of devices available here at the library. So I probably had mostly the in-person kids on our computers, and 1 or 2 brought their own. So we were fortunate in that sense that we already had that set up.
Yeah, that worked out well. And I know that a lot of, not all, but there are quite a few libraries or schools that sort of did that one-to-one situation. So depending on relationships between libraries and schools, perhaps kids can use school laptops. There are ways around some of that stuff. But so you did, now I only know the 3 to 5 curriculum through the lens of sort of the Girls Who Code workshops we brought in to Connecticut from our liaison, who's Valerie. And so I didn't run the grades 3 to 5 curriculum. I'm interested. I know there's something about a book. Are the scientist spotlights still there? All of that jazz?
I did not follow the lesson plan entirely to a T. I picked and chose what I wanted. I did print out the new one for this upcoming one, which I did not see that, but I mostly used them as my format, and then I would pull from it and kind of make it my own. So I don't know the answer to that.
That's okay. But I like that you had the gumption to do that. I think sometimes as librarians, and I'm like a weird kind of rule follower. Like if it's something I don't know how to do, I follow the rules like my life depends on it because I'm so confused. But so I like that you took a format and you plugged in what worked for you, and the stuff that you didn't want to do, you just kind of like, I don't need to do that. Like, it's on this piece of paper, but like, so what? That's, we constantly say up at the state, every library has to adapt for their own community and for what they're able to do. And that sounds like it's exactly what you did. Yeah. So you said that the kids really liked the program and the parents really liked the program, and you have a supportive school system and things. So what are the plans for, as best as you can tell, this video will be out after you've announced it, but what are the plans for this year? You've done it once now. Are you bringing in more folks? Are you going to have the same volunteer help? Are people already kind of excited and bugging you about it? Like, give us the tea.
Yeah, I have had about 3 or 4 of the previous session girls, their moms come to me or their dads come to me and be like, are we doing it again? Can I get on the list already? And I already have some people tentatively on the list, so there's already like half taken up. I'm like, oh. I would love to have the same assistant again this year, or a different one. I have kind of started poking and prodding around for that. I really like involving the teens in that, so I definitely will be doing that again as well. I had reached out last year to some of the other local libraries to see if any of their teen or children librarians would want to join me and like have like a duo, but last year, as it was still pretty new and still so COVID weird, there wasn't any response with that, although some were very willing to share it on their own page for us. But yeah, definitely going to be doing a similar format to what I did this year, although I picked my own book to go along with the program instead, still a coding book, and I will be throwing in lots of those other extra activities too.
Yay! Well, if you look up and see a 5'7" 3/4 person with purple circular glasses, just kind of trailing behind the trail along with you, it's me. And I just want to be part of the fun because this sounds like an amazing program. Do you think at any point you're gonna do the 6th grade to 12th grade program, or are you going to hang out with the 3rd to 5th grade for a while?
I would love to run the older one as well. We are currently, as an entire library, we are currently working on building our teen community here. We actually are working on a teen advisory board and so. And working growing our collection. So I really want to do that. I've put out feelers for it over the past year, and it's been tricky because those kids already have so much going on at that age group. But it's something I'm going to keep throwing out there because I do want to do that at some point.
Well, thank you for your time. I'm pumped, and I'm gonna be keeping an eye out for the things you're doing on the listserv, because it sounds like you're just a great children's librarian, and I really wish our paths had crossed when I was still working with these kids, man. Thank you so much for sharing. I know that this is going to really inspire folks who are looking into coding programs, or girls who code in particular, or, you know, just want to have someone whose brain they can pick. And that's going to be you. Don't call me. And thank you for your time. This was awesome.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It was exciting.